All right. Let's go ahead and get started. We usually, of course, try to take a few minutes for people to arrive. And just once again, reassuring everyone that anytime you need to arrive late or leave early, it's always okay. So this is a space to be here stress-free. So, or less stressed than in other situations. So anyway, turn on your heart light. I like that too. Fun, you guys. All right. So what we were talking about this morning, and again, let me just write this down. With Danni and I, Robyn, by the way, is camping. So she is out of cell phone. So that's why she's not here. And so Danni and I are here together today. And what we were talking about this morning is everything to do with just get started. And what does that mean? And so I really liked how the correlation happened immediately with turn your lights on, and what does that mean? And just start there. Danni, are you just going, oh yeah, that part?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we had this whole long discussion about it this morning. And so one of the things for myself is that I finally got back on the horse yesterday. It's been about 5 years since I have been horseback riding, and just have been busy. And horses for me have been like probably one of the most methods or pathways of spiritual guidance for me. So I know I was born with a hoofbeat in my heart, and I can always hear it. And I was super fortunate to grow up with horses and to grow up with them on the beach in Encinitas near San Diego. And I can always hear that sound. So I've made a lot of life decisions based on horses. And so getting back on the horse yesterday was just a really nice step. It's not like I feel like, oh, I haven't done it and I should do it, and now I've done it. It's different than that. It's like, okay, it was finally like the right timing to just go ride the horse. So I have a short clip. I have a longer clip, but I'll just play it, show you a short clip. I just got on this horse. She's hardly been ridden. She's very green, which means she's inexperienced. And I haven't been on a horse in 5 years, but I did trust her enough to be just bareback with her. So here we are. I'll just show a little bit. So this was yesterday afternoon. And this is Promise, is her name. And so anyway, just had fun getting back on the horse. It's been a long time. Like I say, she's pretty green. But anyway, had to show that. And it did feel like I did that without a should. And that was the big piece for me, because I've been feeling like I should get back on the horse for quite a while. And because I also love it. So it's a big part of my heart. But I just haven't actually wanted to. It's really the bottom line. But I've spent so much time in the shoulds around whether I want to do this, just think I should want to do this, and then have an expectation of myself with it. So I think I've talked about that here before. I've written an article a couple years ago about Reiki heals the shoulds. And I think that for me anyway, that those shoulds and expectations about just get started, for me, are a really big obstacle. And I have to navigate through it a lot. I have to think about, okay, what do I actually want to do, need to do, and am going to do, and what action am I going to take? So this is just a metaphor for me for all different things. And Danni and I were talking about that, like going for a walk. When I have shoulds attached to it, about how far I'm going to go, what the outcome will be, and then what I will do with it, how it will build for the next day, etc., and all the shoulds that can go around that. And then I also think, well, just go for a walk. Even when I say that, it feels like, ah. So for me, I always take it to how to use Reiki for that. And I see your hand raised, Dan, so I'll unmute you in just a second. So for me, it always goes to, how do I shift my mindset so I can be thinking about what I would rather be thinking about, doing what I actually want to do, and then having the discernment in the idea of just get started, of what does that mean to me today. And I love that turn your lights on was first. It's like, oh yeah, that part. So there's the how-to with Reiki. That's it. We can make it complicated with all the other things there are to do with Reiki to activate it so that we're ready to navigate more through all the things and just get started. And it's as simple as activate it and let it entrain your energy, because Reiki energy is a higher frequency of consciousness and life force. And so when you activate it, it's actually you stating an intention that you want that part of you, your life force, your consciousness, elevated into that higher level. And so it entrains, because the energy also exists, and it's intention and exist, and the fact that it exists, so it entrains you to it. And so there's another piece of just get started, because I know for myself, there have been the times when I find it difficult, not so much anymore, but I've had times when I find it difficult to even stop and think about do Reiki, to just get started, because I can also add shoulds and expectations around that and complicate it. So remembering that in that part of it, for me, Reiki is a cycle of life, and it adapts to the cycles we're in. Some of the cycles we're in are busy and fast, and you need to be quick with Reiki energy. Other cycles are reflective, and you get to be in the reflection of it all, and you get to take more time. Some of the cycles are going to take you really, really deep. Some of the cycles take you into new beginnings, and then other cycles you're in the fullness. And lots more cycles than that, but just generally speaking, and kind of medicine wheel idea around it. So let yourself use Reiki in whatever way and cycle that you're in that moment. And so what that can mean is take a deep breath, Reiki on. And I use my hands, but you may not be in a position that you can do that. You might be in public or in a workspace. You might just want it on. You can imagine it or think it or intend it. Sometimes it may mean that I'm actually placing my hands in gasho, closing my eyes and taking deep breaths. I really open my heart and receive and invite Reiki. Another time I might extend that and I might actually draw the symbols in my hands and in front of me and around. Other times I might even just beam it. Other times I might use my breath. Another time I might spend half an hour in that state and meditating. Another time I might just say, okay, good, and I'm on my way. So allowing Reiki to show up for you in whatever way is appropriate. Somebody yesterday sent an email about really needing to be able to send distance Reiki, but not knowing how or feeling confident with it. And it's so good to know that Reiki energy is conscious and it is doing what it does because that's what it does, not because we're directing it or that it is dependent on our spiritual consciousness in the moment or our personal know-how or the length of time we spend. It actually responds to us because we're inviting it through all these different ways of inviting it and letting it just show up for us however we are available to show up for it too, because we have to also move into that state of receiving. What is the answer? So today we are going to do an invocation with this, and those are always channeled. So we'll see what that's going to bring. I think a lot of it is going into the awareness that we are in the midway point between the solstice and the equinox coming into fall, which happens quickly, or for some of you coming into spring. So yeah, you're winter to spring and we're summer to fall up here. So I know we have people in both hemispheres here. So I think we're going to do some work around that and then a little bit of reflection and definitely some letting go. So the invocation might be pretty deep. So you can just, know that because it feels like that. And then also really, what does just get started mean for you? And how can you do that? Really just like, what do you want to do? What do you want to get started with? And how can you make that simple and allow yourself to just, start? Sometimes it's going to be a small step. Sometimes it's going to be a big step. So, Danni, go ahead. I see you unmuted.
Yeah, I was going to say that it can be as simple as talking about it, just with yourself or a friend or someone, somebody maybe from this group, but just talking about it. I have this idea I really want to do, or I'm really excited about, I started doing this, because our words have energy as well. And so for me, just getting started is talking about it and I get excited. I'm like, oh yeah, and I think of ideas. So it can be just as simple as, chatting about it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, thank you. So true. Well, and that's like one of the reasons we love all the Reiki, Reiki community. Go ahead, Anne. I know you've had your hand raised for a while.
Honestly, I miss the picture of your horse.
Oh, you want me to show it again real quick?
I do. I don't know if my screen froze or something, but I looked up like no, I wasn't seeing it. It wasn't there.
Okay.
And I'm a horse lover.
I'm just going to show it for a minute. This is not my horse, by the way. This is some friend of mine's horse. And the first thing that I want to say for those of you that are horse people, I know she looks really overweight. She's actually Welsh and Arabian, and she's truly built that way. She's super wide, and you can see her that she'd be like a great cart horse, that type of a build, great big feet, but she's small. So anyway, that's why she looks so fat. So, and I tell her I understand. So here we go. So this is us. So, and I'm just riding bareback. We've got a really nice pad. I didn't even canter. I did a little bit of trotting, but I didn't even canter because I don't know her well enough. Anyway, so I just did lots of circles with her. She's pretty wobbly still. Like she's not very collected, even at a walk. Anyway, well, Danni, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think that sometimes we feel guilty or put a lot on ourselves when we don't start something, when we're thinking, like you were saying, the shoulds, and just taking that guilt away and doing something really, really super small, just going in that direction and getting started with a momentum and get that momentum going. And it doesn't have to, if you want to write a story or a book, you don't have to know all the chapters, but you can write down notes or something. If you want to start a Reiki business, you don't have to get a website right off. You can just make notes or talk about it or dream about it or journal about it. Do Reiki journeys is a really great way to get started too.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think we have so much pressure on ourselves. And sometimes truly, and I know I say this a lot in here, but I mean it so much that sometimes for me, it's just get started on noticing beauty. That's my get started. Or get started, with something just so simple instead of, I think for me, I do add and make it so much bigger. Like, okay, the get started means all of this to go with it too. And that may be different for each of you, which is why we'll do the invocation, probably more like a Reiki journey, to kind of just let go of some of those, just the stuff around it. And that's individual for each person here and how that works for you and for any of you listening later. How it works for each of us. So that's what it's going to be about, is just some self-discovery for you about where's a place that you want to just get started. And also, what's your timing on that? Like I say, for me, that get started with getting back on the horse, I needed to wait until it was the timing. And yesterday was the timing. And I could, and it was easy and fun, and it worked. And it wasn't like, okay, now I'm going to go train this horse. And although I do have some of those thoughts, but I don't have to have any big expectations about it. So anyway, taking it easy. And yeah, that guilt around the shoulds. Yikes. So yeah, if I'm just being transparent, that's where my mind management is. I'm always thinking about the shoulds. I have to think about that a lot.